Hi, this is Uncle Jay Got to Say. I'm Uncle Jay. This is my platform where I give common sense advice on different subject matters that I find online, things I find interesting, things that impact my world. Um, Sometimes I just give commentary as well. I was reading online that the average adult asks advice at least twice a week, 104 times a year, 6,000 times in a lifetime. That's a lot. But I think that number is higher because we're probably starting to ask for advice in our teens. Life gets a little more interesting. Now, basically, I decided to do this platform because I am an uncle. I have 15 nieces and nephews. I come from a large family. I have seven great nieces and nephews, and I've lived a life. I've done some things, I've been some places, and I have a lot of information I'd like to share. So I decided to do a common sense platform, talk just from the heart and talk from the head, and hopefully, maybe something I can say will impact somebody's life. Now, there are two elements of advice that you have to remember. One is the source, where you get that advice from. Now, if you're a young person and you're asking a friend advice on something, that person's probably just going to agree with you. They want to keep the party going. They want to make you feel good. They want to pat you on the back and just say something nice. Now, as these friends grow up and you get a little bit older, towards your 30s, 40s, and 50s, you now have some life experience to go by, and you're going to draw on that experience to give advice. Oftentimes, older, more mature people will say things like, "This is what I do. This is what I do in this situation, but it's up to you." Because at the end of the day, it ultimately is up to the recipient to make the decision whether to take advice or to change advice to make it work for them. Now, understand that when you go to loved ones, to family, they will give you advice, but their advice is mostly to guide you towards where they think you should be going anyway. Okay. If you are asking advice on education, if they think that you should be more educated, they're going to give advice to guide you towards that. Okay. If you're asking advice on money, you know, and they think that you should be saving more of it, they can give you advice on that. If they think that you should invest in something like buy a house, buy a car, they're going to give you advice on that. Okay. And their advice is mostly to guide you towards where they think you should be going. So understand that this is where they think you should be going. And it may not be what you're looking for, but it is what they want to say. Now understand that sometimes you will get bad advice. It is okay to say, "I hear you, but that's not what I'm going to do." You know in your gut whether it's good advice or not. You know by your sixth sense, your female intuition, whether this is something good for you or not. And you know based upon what you know, based upon your life experience up to that point, whether you want to accept that advice or not. And go with that. Go with your gut instinct on that. Now, I will say also when you meet people that are well versed or educated or professionals in certain fields, that's where the advice is going to come from. Someone that loves money, knows money, makes money, they're going to give you financial advice. No matter what you say, is going to go towards a financial solution. Okay. People that are heavy or really into religion, they're going to give you religious advice. And you can best believe it's probably going to be followed by some type of scripture and verse. If you go to someone who's really educated, multiple degrees, they're going to give you scholarly advice. And they're usually going to follow up with a quote from a poem or a quote from some famous person or something, somebody that they enjoy. Okay. So understand that. Be very mindful of who you go to for advice because it can help determine the type of advice you receive. Now, I would say this that some of the best advice I ever received came from total strangers, people that didn't know me, that didn't have any vested interest in me, people I met at the gas station, in the grocery store, people that I met on my job. You know, you work in a large company, you can't know everybody. You will encounter strangers and they'll start talking. You'll start a conversation and they'll say some of the best things to you. Let's say some down to earth things that, you know, you will hear. And if you can use it, you use. And if not, you'll save it for later. Now, I remember that I heard some advice from a woman I met on my job, and at the time I couldn't use it, but I saved it. And then years later, many years later, I was going through some things, and that advice just popped up in my head, and I was like, "Wow, that works. I'm going to use that." I don't remember who told me, but whoever, thank you. You know, and I was ready to accept and receive it. And that's the second element is that you must be ready to accept and receive advice. A lot of times we hear things, we're not ready to accept it. We're not ready to receive it, so we don't. Okay? Accepting means that you understand what they're saying. It makes sense to you. It makes sense to, what you're going through at that time. Receiving it means that you are ready to use it. You're ready to actually put it into action. You may have to change advice to kind of match what you're really doing, what you're going through, but you're ready to accept it, you're ready to receive it, you're ready to use it. So understand that getting advice is not easy. You must go to the right sources. You must be ready to accept and receive it, and you will when you're ready. If you're not ready, you're not going to follow through. That's fine. But understand that it's okay to ask advice. It's okay to ask advice. Don't feel ashamed. Certain subjects are very personal. Then find someone that you can trust with asking advice to. I think with technology today, you can go online and ask advice. You don't have to go to a physical person anymore. You can go online. But be very mindful. I am online myself, but be very mindful that everyone gives opinions. So you got to be able to trust the source. Be able to trust the source. I hope that what I give is common sense, that you can take what I say and learn something from it, but still keep those sources that you have, your family, your friends, your coworkers, the people that you trust at your church. Keep those sources near so you can go to them when you really need that advice. Well, that's all Uncle Jay has to say. I hope that you enjoy my platform. Hope that you subscribe, hit the like button, leave comments. I'm not perfect, so if I miss something, let me know. You're always learning. Every day I learn something new. So that's all I want to say, and thank you.